Second school lecture of the General Occult class, 2 III 1922, Thursday 7 to 8:30 p.m., St. Sophia 7:15 silence, TM. I will make a few brief notes on the natural method of work. Every undertaking in life must begin with those methods that nature uses, and the students of the divine teaching are obliged to study these methods. Nothing can excuse them. If anyone who has entered this teaching, and in whom this consciousness has awakened, says, "I do not know, I do not understand, they have not explained this to me," etc., these things do not justify him, because even children, nowadays, from the first department know what their program is in school. But modern cultured people do not know what their program is. Ask any of them what their special program is, why they came to Earth, they will only shrug their shoulders. Everyone has their own special program. Nature has divided time into 3 categories. Time for rest, which includes sleep, time for eating, and time for work. These are 3 natural situations. Now, sleep itself has several categories. Sleep may be pleasant, it may not be pleasant. You may rest, you may not rest in sleep. In eating too. You may have eaten well, you may have eaten badly, you may gain strength in eating, you may not gain strength. And in work it is the same. Sleep belongs to one category. It is the physical astral life on Earth. Eating is the purely physical life of man on Earth. And work is the mental life of man. Sleep is necessary for toning human energies. Only during sleep, in a state of sleep, does a person gain his energies. In sleep, we gain energies. Purification of the body takes place in sleep. Eating is a process of putting these energies into action. Work is the use of the energies already acquired. And therefore, according to this distribution, I rule of sleep. When a person goes to sleep, he should go with a pleasant thought. He should be pleased that he is going to the other world. Consciousness passes from one state to another, and if you had the educated mind of an adept or a saint of the I degree, your sleep would be one of your most pleasant entertainments, one of your most pleasant rests. Now, often we go to sleep when our stomach is full, some hard-to-digest food has been taken in, and then in the stomach there is a struggle everywhere, there is an exit and entry into the body. We turn on our backs, struggle, get up, groan, and hardly does someone fall asleep at 12 o'clock, and some at 2 o'clock, and then they say, "I can't sleep," and they don't ask themselves why they can't sleep. The next night, in the same way, he has eaten hard-to-digest food, and again he can't sleep all night. And he says, "It's not going well for me, there are some devils in this house," or "so-and-so came." That's why he couldn't sleep. No, the reason is not there. Unclean air may sometimes be the reason, but the main factor is the food in the stomach. Now you will say, these are unimportant matters. No, every student should start with the unimportant matters. Precisely because they are unimportant, they are the most important. So, the first rule for a student of occultism is to eat in the evening before the sun has set. The rule is this: you can eat when the sun has set, but the best method is when the sun is 2 meters high before it has set. You have taken your dinner. This is how the birds that live the most intelligent life do, and the other animals, the owls, the bats and the like, which come out in the evening, eat at 7, 8, 9, 10, 12 and 2 o'clock until the sun rises. As soon as the sun rises, they all hide in their holes and rest. Therefore, I rule of eating. You will eat in the evening before the sun has set, and in the morning you will never eat before the sun has risen. So, in the morning, at least 1/2 hour after its rise, you will eat. This is the rule of a person who wants to live a natural life, according to the laws of nature. These are rules for those who want to be disciples. Then there are disciples, listeners, who say that we have conditions, but some author said so. I say, the author is the great nature. Then you may say, but until now, since we have had such a method, should we go back? Now, when we lay down a principle, we do not have in mind your old habits. We simply lay down a principle. If we want to live correctly, how should we eat? Now I will move on to nutrition. How many times should a person eat a day? The entire cultural world is divided in its views regarding food. Some maintain, in 24 hours a person should eat once and apply it. Others maintain only twice, lunch and dinner. A third category maintains 3 times, morning, lunch and dinner. And a fourth category maintains that one should eat 4 times a day. Now in Bulgaria in general, they eat 3 times a day, in the morning, at lunch and in the evening. The rule when eating is, never eat if you don't feel like it. You will only apply the rule on occasion. When you wake up in the morning and feel hungry, eat. If not, don't eat. At lunch, if you feel hungry, eat. If not, don't eat. And in the evening too. You will eat if you have the disposition, not only the disposition of appetite, but to feel pleasure while eating. And the Apostle Paul says, eat, drink, and give thanks. And I express myself. To eat with love, to love food, And then this energy is attracted to the organism, because food is alive, and these particles, after they enter according to the law of love and we chew them, the living energy from them flows into our organism and renews it. However, if we do not have the disposition, currents are formed, circular, conical, elliptical, then hyperbolic, and these currents begin to waver and an outflow of energy occurs. Rule of nutrition. The first thing, the student has no right to be angry at the table. It is forbidden in nature to be angry while eating. It is absolutely forbidden for a person to be angry while eating. Write it down here. For ordinary people, they can be angry as much as they want. It is noticed in chickens and other animals, when they eat, there is a nibbling, but for the intelligent, at the table, to be angry it is not allowed. Why is it not allowed? I will tell you why. Christ says, I am the living bread that came down from heaven, and whoever eats me will live. Well, if the one who came down from heaven to your table to give you life gives it to you, do you have the right to be angry? Absolutely no right, and I put this as a rule for the occult school. This is one of the rules, and anyone who violates it, they open the door and say to him, Sir, get out. When he violates this rule twice, they exclude him from the class outside. So, now you want to be students, but if you violate this rule, they will exclude you. Not just someone to sit down, seemingly. No. In essence, you will sit down, absolutely disposed. Everything should be open in you. Your mind and heart should be open, and you, as a student, should thank God that by grace you have come to this school. It is understanding, and, if you do not start from there, you cannot ennoble yourself. If you do not apply this rule in your home, for yourself, you can never give this upbringing to your children. Rule of nutrition. Then, the student of an occult school is not allowed to eat quickly. It is absolutely forbidden. Eating is a great noble work. You will do it according to all the rules. No hurry. In 2, in 3, no. You will sit down. It is one of the greatest works, and you will do it like this, according to the rules. How many minutes will you eat? You will eat for 15-20 minutes, but you will eat slowly and absolutely not rush. It is serious work, and this rule is established. It is enough to eat twice quickly to be shown the door outside. And I will tell you why you do not succeed in Christianity. This is one of the reasons, but not the only one. 4th rule of eating. A student of the occult school is never allowed to overeat. If you overeat twice, you will be shown the door outside again. So, you are absolutely never allowed to overeat. Because eating is mathematically determined, the student must know how much he needs, that much to eat, not a single bite more. When he comes to that measure, it is the following. When he feels that the food is most pleasant to him, to stop there. Not to go any higher, to stop there. It is one of the rules to stop at this sweetest bite. When you stop there, an energy gathers in you, ascending, expanding, and you say, I ate very well. This energy builds in you, creates, and then also in your work, everywhere, whatever you touch, everything goes to you, comes to you. Now, the 3rd category. In work there are 3 departments, physical, spiritual, and mental work. There are 3 categories that now affect the lives of students in an occult school. I rule about work. The student has no right to make a distinction between physical, mental, and spiritual work, to say, this work is not worth it. For him, physical, mental, and spiritual work should be equally important. If he made the slightest distinction, that one work sits higher than the other, 2 such mistakes, and show him the way out. For him, physical, mental, and spiritual work should be sacred. The student should know that physical work is a method of work to perceive the energies of the earth. When we cultivate the earth, an exchange occurs simultaneously between our body and the power of the earth. Therefore, we perceive energy through our feet, and that is why, when a person works physically, the pores of his feet must be spiritually open, so that this energy can circulate properly through the body. When spiritual work is being done, because then the human heart is being affected, then his heart must be open, and in mental work, there the mind must be open, i.e., the brain must be in such a state that it can perceive. Now I tell these rules only to those who have the desire. The law is such. Every student who enters the school must impose on himself, out of love, to be able to do this. Once you make a promise to yourself, fulfill it. Be true to yourself. A person has no right to lie to himself. If you have one promise within yourself, fulfill it, let no one know you. But be true to yourself, fulfill it. Because if you do not apply these rules, no occult students can become of you. Because it is not a question of a person only eating. It is not a question of just working. Let's say that you eat a chicken. Let me give you the following clarification. I have decided that I will no longer hold an exam in front of you, and in the future I will not allow any of you to test me. We will not allow it. Whoever violates the rule, according to the occult teaching, We will show him the way out, without distinction. In our Sunday talks, there is a common thing: I am different. But when it comes to teaching, it cannot be like that. On Sunday you can, if you want to play on my sermon. But when it comes to occult teaching, the work is dangerous. And one evening I will give you an example of what occult forces can do. I will give you an example here for some of you, so that later, if I save you, you will act like this again. The scripture says God is a consuming fire. When they preach a lesson to you and you turn your head everywhere. He is a consuming fire, and when he tells someone to do his will and he says, I have a different opinion, God manifests himself like this. Now, if you want to be disciples, you are free to accept or not, but if you accept and do not fulfill, you have no love. Love is this, for a person to know from love, to learn, listen, perceive the divine teaching, and apply it. This is what I call love. It is not for my sake, it is for your sake. If you apply it, you will benefit, and in the future you will need it. Now, if they give you a nicely roasted chicken, fine, but this chicken has been sitting for a while and has begun to smell. It is nicely baked, and you eat and say, delicious food, I ate well. But after an hour something starts to change, gases start to form, you squirm, and suddenly all the food starts to come out of your mouth. I ask, is this eating in place? Is it good? Now bring this by analogy to spiritual work. Sometimes we say, let us love each other. They call you to the table, and they feed you in a spiritual way. You say, this brother is excellent, he is full of love, but he thinks. Good, but after an hour, something starts to happen to you again. Is this lunch in place? Someone called you to feed you mentally, fed you excellently, but after an hour you vomit again. Are these meals in place? They are not. This is a waste of energy. When a person eats, he should feel a lightness in his stomach. After he has eaten, he should feel light. His stomach should work like an excellent machine. Only then has he eaten spiritually. The heart should work, creating a pleasant disposition for his mind. Now do not take those states that you often have, that are from the teachings. That is outside the school. A person must struggle, and suffering is outside. After the student has studied in an occult school, the teachers send him out into the world. They will give him a subject teaching. Let's see how he will solve the law, then the difficulties will come. Someone, listening, says, there will be difficulties, right? Wait, after you study, then the difficulties will come, otherwise you will not know how to deal with them. Why do we have difficulties? Is there any use if they smear someone's ass with 25 and then give him a medicine to pass? As a student, what use is it to smear him? There is no point. Someone will say, he suffered. He suffered, but without any ideas. If a person was sick and they wanted to beat him, and because of him they beat you, and you get excited that they are beating you and say, I have saved a brother, that makes sense. So everything in our life should be conditioned reasonably. Under what circumstances did Christ speak? Take his parable of the sower. In the parable of the sower, he spoke to farmers in a region where farmers lived. There he spoke about the best method of sowing the seed, physically, mentally, and spiritually, and explained the conditions to them. He explained some of the conditions like this: one seed fell by the wayside, another among thorns, the third on rocky ground, and the last one on good ground, which yielded 30, 60, and 100. The explanations are for these farmers. Then, when he was with those fishermen, he did not speak to them about the seed. To the fishermen he spoke about nets. And now, these have taken what Christ spoke to the farmers and the fishermen and mixed it up, fish and wheat, and said, that is what Christ said. No. Christ spoke very wisely and spoke on the spot, and now we take and mix the words. This said, this and that, and we think that we have explained something. This is not an explanation. What does this net mean? Then Christ told the parable of the banquet. Somewhere he also touched on the merchants. 3 categories of people are touched on, to whom Christ spoke. The first, who bought a field, the second, who bought 5 yoke of oxen, and the third, who got married. Each parable is for a special category of people. If you take the parable of Christ, he determines which parable, to which it corresponds, and what principles it explains in life. What does life mean? The fields mean the human body. You came to the land, you bought the field, didn't you? How many pairs of oxen did he buy? What does it say there? 5 pairs, right? And so on. Well, the other one who got married. So, what is his condition? The fields correspond to sleep, the oxen correspond to eating, the marriage corresponds to work. Do you understand? This is how this parable sits, to explain it in principle. The fields, it is the rest. You must have had a good rest, a good sleep, very good, and when you get up, you will feed 5 pairs of oxen, that is the eating, and after that, the marriage means the work, the inner side. Christ spoke in an occult language to those disciples, how to distribute the work themselves on earth. He brought a new point of view and touched on this occult question. So, if we come now to study the gospel, we will study it in an occult way. I am deviating from the main question. As soon as we come to the parables, there may arise a dispute. It is necessary to find in what proportion this parable sits with other parables. They are all symbols, arrange them, and then the revelation will appear. So the work, physical, mental, and spiritual, must be done with love. This is an internal exercise for the student. So we have 3 divisions that we have to deal with: sleep, eating, and work. And if you introduce this new method of work, many of the current illnesses, this neurasthenia that you have, these ailments, all these things will gradually begin to be cleansed. We will have a greater freshness, greater joy of mind, greater cheerfulness, endurance. Life will be longer and more pleasant, and many of the current difficulties will be removed. And then, when you go out, I know that your friends will come again, your old friends who taught you, and will tell you the following. It is possible, but the time has not yet come, and since you are old, this is for the young. And the young will say, we are still young, let's live a little longer. So that when we get old then we will come to the point where everyone will start denying themselves. Maybe it's not by force, but the one who wants to be a student and wants to understand, without these rules of occultism, without these elementary rules, will not be able to achieve any results in the future. You will have ordinary, small results. Do you know that rule? The Gospel says, he who is faithful in a little is faithful also in much, and he who is unfaithful in a little is unfaithful also in much. When you break one of the small commandments, you will say, this is a very small commandment, we have greater ones. For love, for faith, and for hope, for these things to be partially realized, fulfillment is necessary. If you do not have the strength to fulfill one small commandment like eating, sleeping, working, all the other commandments will be fulfilled in the same way. We did not create sleep, we did not create eating, we did not create work. My Father, says Christ, still work, and I work. And I say, and how does the Lord work? Do you know how he works? So these are purely divine decrees, and if we uphold them, the Lord will bless us. If we ignore them, then even living nature has its punishments. Do you know what mothers do? You send your child to do some work. He does not do it. Then you give the other children an apple, but not him. You may give him an hour or 2 later, but first you will not give him the same reception. This is what smart mothers do, and very wise mothers will say, good, mommy forgives him. Very smart ones always forgive, and smart ones behave a little. So, we modern people, the more we sin, the more we want there to be no punishments in the world, but on the contrary, the smaller the punishments we want, the greater they come. They say, oh, there should be no suffering, and we all want it to be removed, but the more we want it, the more they come. Why? Mother says, where are you delaying? I told you to come back in an hour. But I had friends. Who is higher, you or me? So we will say, the world is like that. The Lord will say, is the world sitting higher or me? Not public opinion or someone's authority, but what the Lord has said inside nature, that comes first. There is one rule for everyone. No criticism, no such. I have a special opinion. For me and for you, there are no 2 opinions. There is only one way to fulfill the will of God. And a rule about sleep. There can only be one way to sleep. How? When you lie down on your left or right side, do not turn over until morning, so that when you lie down on one side, there should be no snoring. Your breathing should be smooth and quiet, so that they think you are dead, and when you start snoring, it is not sleep. You will sleep quietly and peacefully. It is divine. Someone says, I cannot sleep on my back, but I sleep on my stomach. No, the best sleep is on the right side. Average sleep, average goodness is sleeping on the left side. Bad sleep is on the back, and whoever wants to plow should sleep on his stomach. And so, we will put the thought in, so that when it comes to reading the divine law, we will put this thought in our mind, and then we will know that we have slept well. You can count during the year how many nights you have slept well, and you will have an idea of your progress upwards. This is the training or education of the human will. From there, they must begin F. This is very important for students, not only for the young, but also for the old. The old will say, when we come a second time, the second time when you come, no, it is now. It is better to say this, I do not want to fulfill it, and not a second time. Moreover, if you want, you can fulfill it now, because there is sleep in the other world too. There is sleep, rest in the other world too. Therefore, if you have learned rest and eating here, you have understood that rest can be conscious and unconscious. If we know how to rest here, we will know there, and if we do not know how to rest here, we will not know up there either. The law is still the same. These things are only by analogy. You will say, sleep, Where a person has awakened, there is no sleep, but there is rest. And so, now you will take these three divisions: sleep, eating, and work. Now whoever comes here, we do not impose on him, but whoever has come, whoever commits once, must fulfill. Those who are not ready to fulfill, it is better to give up. For some, Sunday talks are enough, and I will tell you why they should not be present in the class. Let me explain to you. Because, if you enter a class, no matter how many people there are, 5, 10, 15, 100, 200, if these students want to fulfill a certain work, and you remain of a different opinion, you are like a worm that eats away at this organ. Then why should you become this worm, destroying this work? Whoever cannot fulfill will say of others, "He speaks but cannot fulfill." Whoever says so, let him not come to listen to these things. But you will say, "I will listen to them." You may listen to them, but you will not enter inside. That is why certain disharmony is always born. Someone came and asked for an order, but the one who cannot fulfill this order should not ask, because the parable says, "It is better not to promise. If you promise, you must fulfill it, but if you do not want to fulfill it, do not promise. If you promise once to yourself, try to fulfill it." So, those of you who remain as students, I want you to be upright, and your characters will change a little. Only then can the laws change. You will say, "The Spirit will change us." But do you know the methods of the Spirit? When the Spirit wants to change a person, he puts him in school. These high schools, universities are all made by the Spirit of God. Or you will say, "There are devils." No, it is not worldly. There are devils too, but the Spirit of God works there. He guides life. And now someone says it is worldly teaching. No, we must finish it. Some students enter, leave school. No, if you enter the university, you will finish it. Then you can throw away the diploma, but it is finished. It is character. Or you say, "I will finish the first," finish it. Then, when you enter the second grade, say, "I will finish it and finish it." Then, think again and say, "I will finish the third grade too and finish it." The next year, say it again, and you will finish the entire high school. Don't promise everything at once, but a little at a time. And now some come. Make a promise. If you make a promise, fulfill it for yourself, so that one day, when you enter the other world, you will find your path paved only with unfulfilled promises. You will find yourself like a man whose shoes are taken off and placed on such sharp pebbles to walk barefoot. All your promises will be such stones you will walk and feel pricks in your feet. This is not just a form, but de facto you will find it. So now, as students, you will try to be upright, because with God there is no betrayal, and whoever does, that will be found. If you fulfill everything that God fulfills, then when you enter the other world, you will find a path paved with roses. Because everything that you promise and fulfill, there is the greatness of every person, to fulfill the promises that he made to himself, not what I tell you, but what you promised. If what I am talking about, you start it, and after 1 to 2 months you say, "This work is not for me, that is not good." And so, then we will distinguish all of you. I will distinguish you into 5 classes. In this school now, I will distinguish you into 5 classes, men and women. Every student must know which class he is entering. Now you will say, "Will I be in the first or the second?" These classes are the same. Each of you will choose a class, but when you enter, you will finish it. You understand? When you enter a class, you will study all the subjects of the class thoroughly, both theory and practice. So, when you finish the first class, I will ask you, do you want to finish the second class? You will think about whether to enter the second class. But if you accept it, you will still finish it. And then, when you finish the 5 classes, we will give you a diploma. That is, the Brotherhood will give you a diploma that you are one of the capable students. That is how the matter stands. In every occult school there are also practical experiments. There is no boasting there. Here they say, "I know how to play." Good. Give him the violin. Everyone will line up, and the most prominent professors of music will line up. They stare at each other, and the student's heart will start pounding. If he is talented, he will play, but when he pulls the bow once, the teachers will find out how much he knows how to play. So those who will they test you, you will know they are all experts. Then, one of the rules, you will not be interested in who is in which class. The rule is to know only those who are in your class, and those in other classes. Such curiosity is absolutely forbidden. Everyone will only know their class, in which they study, nothing more. Now, it is not necessary to enter the class. You may think that you should not enter, that you can acquire it outside, and outside it can be acquired. But whoever decides, both young and old, should strive to study. Then God helps the diligent. I gave a motto to the young. Now, if the young allow it, I will give this motto to you, the old ones, and I think that they will allow it. It is the following: without fear and without darkness. Where there is fear, nothing happens, and where there is no fear, everything happens. In the life of a disciple, everything that happens must happen without fear and without darkness, in absolute light. This is a divine rule for the disciple. And so, this is now the omission of the physical world alone. He who works in the physical world must be fearless. I will explain this, the young say. A man should be brave. No, even a brave man is cowardly. Lock up a cat. At first it is cowardly, it starts to run away. But when you stroke it, it becomes brave from fear and attacks. It has become brave from fear, and today's people are all brave, only from fear. Where people want to provide for themselves, to build houses, this and that, everyone is brave, but from fear. There it is not without fear. Yes, only the student of occultism or the Christian in the full sense of the word, who says that in God everything is only good, can be fearless. Know that in all moments of life, God is present in every place. Fear nothing, because you know that God reigns everywhere. Not only do you know, but you believe and try. The moment you hesitate, fear will come into your soul. Therefore, if the student has fear, he is outside the school. With us there is no if. And the scripture says, try and see. And the prophet says, try and see that the Lord is good. Here is a sentence of the occult school. This was the teaching of the old prophets who taught these rules, and even higher rules from the occult science. Now, that is enough. Let us have another secret prayer. There will be a winter excursion on Saturday. Not everyone should come. The rule is, since you are students, if some think they might catch a cold, they should not come, only those who can stand it. You will take some gummies again, because this excursion is very early. There is snow up there. It is cold. There is also prana. There is also cold. If negative thoughts overcome you, do not come. If you come without fear, welcome. If you are very brave, I do not want you. If you come without fear and without darkness, you are all welcome. Now set the time, 6:30 a.m. at the well. Do not go with thin clothes and thin socks, but with nice thick socks, stuffed and then thick clothes. Let's try it. Let's leave the coughs up there. We are thinking of going to the Little Black Peak at an altitude of up to 1,500 meters, and some may stay down there. There will be people on duty at 1,200 meters. There is snow there now, at least up to 1 meters deep. Now, the second time, those who want to be students of occultism, who want to follow the classes, will definitely sign up. This work is serious. You will think about it. We will monitor the implementation. Let us see the results. Whoever decides, fine. Whoever does not, let him stay home, do other things. But whoever decides to follow certain rules, we will put them into practice. Let us see if there is a result. According to this theory, we will try the results. There is no other way. You will think now, not out of shame. You will think well, and if there is fearlessness and no darkness in your soul, come. If you have fear and darkness, do not come. And one more rule, to be frank, pure, to know that when we start a work, we start it for God, and when we start it, we will finish it. Now, we start this work for God, and we will finish it. This work will be very small. We will not start with much. Now, you will respect your freedom. The first rule of love is freedom. I want you all to be free, to decide everything according to the law of freedom, and whatever you decide, to fulfill it. I like you in one respect. I can praise you. I don't like to praise, but I state the fact. I will tell you that the only thing I like is that you stood outside in the cold. That's what I liked about you, Sophians, and I said, it's an excellent trait. Those who are outside and those who are inside, it's excellent. This is the only good trait you have. I can't praise you for anything else, but for this I wouldn't be ashamed to say it. I could say it everywhere, not only to you, but to others as well. It's a good trait. It's an excellent trait. I can't say anything else. Now we will use the magnetic powers of Vitosha. Electricity and magnetism, that's the best thing for Sophians, and we must use that well. Vitosha is a rich magnet, and we must use these conditions. Other students don't have this Vitosha, and it presents a pleasant entertainment for occult students. The other students must go to, it's a long way away, but here there are good conditions for the students to get dirty. I want us to do this excursion according to all the rules, to check them, and then you can pass them on to the others. Now the meeting is over.